Hello everyone, Kalive here, and welcome back to Ark Survival Ascended, the island. So in the previous episodes, we defeated all of the gamma and beta versions of the bosses. So we have all those unlocked. We now have to go and defeat all the alphas. Although we did defeat the Megapithecus already, the Alpha Megapithecus, what we're going to do is we're going to defeat the Broodmother and the Dragon alphas. So that's the goal. And I did mention the Overseer fight in the last episode. That fight will be delayed just because when I was preparing for it, I realized I didn't have the Tek chest piece yet. So we need to unlock that first before we go into that fight. If you don't have that unlocked and you're doing solo, it is very sketchy to do that fight without that piece. That's the only thing you really need out of all of those. The boots probably would be helpful, but the chest piece is definitely a must. And that's only if you lose all your dinos in that fight. You want to be able to at least continue to move around and do things and still fight the Overseer. So we'll get to a little bit more, but it's really the reason why I want to do the alphas in this episode and show you how that process works. And so in terms of difficulty, the Alpha Broodmother is probably the most difficult out of the Guardians. And it is a pretty big jump in difficulty. You're probably going to need mutations for that fight. And the Alpha Dragon is more about skill and movement, and then a little bit of damage. And so I did do some mutations to the Megatheriums and Therizinosaurs, but not a whole lot. And I'll show you that here in a minute. But first, let's go through a few updates. So right off the bat, I did go ahead and do this. I made a little arena, or I guess a little obelisk terminal. And this is the transmitter in the middle that we crafted in the previous episode. So we do have the transmitter unlocked, and I started making a little terminal. Those are the triangle foundations, and I kind of stacked them up and I painted them. I don't think this is accurate as far as like the distances go from the terminal to the edge, but it's probably pretty close. Once we actually go into a fight, I'll be able to see like how far off I was, and then we can kind of adjust that. But I do need to do a fight before we do that. So that's what we'll do here in a little bit. But I do some mutations. Those are the mutated versions of the Theris. And so I wanted to do this build here because I wanted to just do the boss fights from here instead of having to go to the obelisk. So it's definitely saved us time. This thing does not have to be powered by the generator. It's not in my settings. Maybe it does on official, but I have not changed anything to prevent it from being powered. But as far as I know, this does not need to be powered by a generator. So you can put it pretty much anywhere you want. Like this is outside the range of my generator, and it still works. And so that's the purpose of the transmitter. We're going to use it for the boss fights. So other than that, I did continue building out the Tek storage here. So these are dedicated storages, and I'm just trying to work on this particular wall. I'll probably do about, let's see, maybe 3 more here and 3 high. I could do 4 high, but it just becomes really hard to get up there, that level. So I just tend to just go 3 high on these. And I'm trying to put in things that I'm going to be using to craft the most with. So definitely metal and hide and fiber. Those are like the big things for a lot of saddles. And then of course the building materials here. And then chitin. I just have a lot of chitin, so I did that. And then the polymer. Probably not necessary, but definitely helpful if I need to build something. And I have been crafting some of these. So let's go ahead and look at these. These are the ones that I've been working on recently, the Megatherium saddles. I started building these. These are incredibly expensive, and it was taking me roughly 2 hours to complete one. Just because the hide, it's 10,000 hide. I did find a better remedy for that, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. But besides the hide, it's 3,200 cementing paste, which, as you saw, I have very little stone. So cementing paste is chitin plus stone, and this was like the holdup right here. And the chitin is not hard to get at all. You just go to the cave with the Megatherium that you're leveling up. You get, I think I was getting 20k per cave visit, so the chitin was not a huge deal. that's definitely easy to grab. The stone is a little bit more of a problem. I had some Doedicurus running around down there on Wander, and I would just go ahead and check on them every once in a while and pick the stuff out of them. Then this guy I was using full time, just going out there and mining, and it was still taking me about roughly an hour to do that, to get all the stone to make one of those. So I went down to the lower level, and it did cut the time probably about half. Well, not half, but it seemed like it was about maybe 45 minutes to get these crafted. So I do have to craft 3 more. I do have the stuff for maybe 2 more, maybe 3 more actually. I need more metal, which I think I might have, maybe. No, okay, I need to get more metal. It's not hard to get the metal. That's one of the easier things to get. So I was crafting those. I did already have the saddles crafted for the Therizinosaurs. Those things are already done. I'll show you those saddles just in case you want to see. I was making these. I actually have a bunch of these already made. I started making some of these, and so they're using like a mixture. I think like most of them have the purple ones, but then I started crafting these. These are actually really easy to make. It's just a little bit of metal. The wood is actually the hardest part to get, just because of the weight is requiring me to have to fill up a bunch of RGs just to go around and grab the wood. But I would just go on an RG with a chainsaw, chop the wood down, fill it up, go to the next RG, fill it up, and then I was getting about 15, maybe 10 to 15k wood per trip across into the redwoods. So it wasn't that hard to grab at all. Other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've been working on those 2 things, the saddles. The veggie cakes I've also been working on. I have made additional sap taps, so I have 2 rows here, and I have 1 by the cave where the megatheriums go into, similar to this build. So I have quite a few sap taps. There's like 4 on each level here. And then I got some more beehives. There was a ton of beehives when I went back in there. I think every tree that I saw had like at least 2 beehives on it. Not every tree literally, but every tree that had a beehive on it had at least 2 of them on it for some reason. And I had very little thylacoleos. So I think if you are having problems finding thylacoleos, you want to break the beehives. And so I only grabbed 4, but I probably broke about 10 beehives before thylacoleo started spawning back in. And I think that happens every once in a while, is you'll have just beehives take over, and then you have no more thylacoleos until you start breaking those. I think they share the same spawn. And yeah, so let's go over the process real quick for mutations. So I did get some pretty good mutations for the megatheriums. This is the base stats that I got. I had 42 health and I had 46 damage. So what I wound up getting is a 52 damage mutation. So that's plus 6 more damage. So that's 3 more mutations. So if we look at this guy, you can see that it has 2 here and 1 here. So that's a total of 3 mutations. And it did wind up getting 52 damage, which this is unimprinted. This is the base damage. And so what I would do is I would turn these on. They would breed, produce babies. I would check to see if their level was higher than 245. So if the level was 247, I would know it'd be mutated. Then I would need to check to see if the melee was higher than the dad's melee. And if it was, I would keep that one. So that's how I would do the mutations. If it wasn't, I would put them out in the back here. Behind this wall is a little area that I kept them all at. They would eventually starve out, and then I would go back there with one of my Therizinosaurs that are farming, and they would go out there and harvest all the corpses for hide. So that was one way to get hide, and the other way to get hide, that's even better, involves these guys. I started breeding these guys. So these are really good for hide. And the chainsaw, let's go do this real quick. I want to show you this. Because you're probably at the point now where you're making these really good saddles. So I've been working on this particular thing with getting the hide. So here's a chainsaw. I think I have enough durability. Have any gasoline here? No. Need a little bit of gasoline. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. I just want to show you this process. So I'm going to take one of these. I think these are already leveled up. Yeah, so this is 67, this is 67. 64. These are all males though. Yeah, so we just take either one of these. I want to bring it away from the rest of these guys just so they don't freak out. And you want to use a chainsaw for this because you will get the most amount of hide from a chainsaw than any other thing that you can use. So I need to bring this to the back because if anything is on neutral, it will try to eat this corpse and we don't want that to happen. So let me go back there real quick. Okay, so we have our Ovis back here. And we're gonna level it up. You want to put a bunch of points in the health. Health improves the amount of hide and stuff you get back. So let's go ahead and unclaim you. Then we'll just use this guy to do some damage. Okay, we don't want to do that. Because it's on passive, it's not going to be running away. Alright, so it died. Let's get the chainsaw and look at the stuff that we get from this. We're going to actually cap out on the meat. We don't want the raw mutton. So yeah, from that we got all this hide. I mean, this is the amount of hide from one of those. And at one point I was actually getting roughly 8 of these a day. And that was only with 2 females, so if I had more females I can get even more hide per day. And these really aren't even the best Ovises that you can get. I mean, you can get some with like 30 health points. So these are I just have like 20, something like that. So there are better ways to improve this. So that's kind of the process that I started working on. After a while, I realized that going out and gathering hide was a huge pain, but being able to grow your own hide through the Ovises definitely helps out a ton. And if I had a better version of the chainsaw, it would be so much easier to get even more hide. I did pump up my melee though, which just does help a lot. So I have 175 right now. So that's one way to improve that as well. But yeah, just going out there and using a chainsaw on Ovises is a really good way to get hide. So in case you're wondering how to get a bunch of hide, that's one possible way. And then the other thing that I've also been working on is, I'll show you that real quick. It's over here. I did go out and get some of the Kairus. So we have our Kairus here. These are the penguins. They are good for organic polymer. And so that's kind of what I also got and started working on. And so we have quite a few eggs from these. I had to turn them off because they produce eggs pretty quickly. I think it's over a couple of days, like over a day roughly. I'd have this many eggs. And this guy is kind of maxed out on melee damage and also kind of maxed out on, let's see, stats. So I kind of maxed out on the organic polymer. So it gets more organic polymer when it harvests the Kairus. And so that's one thing you'd probably want to do as well if you're looking at getting a Kairu farm, is get a really good, or I guess a decently leveled version of Moss Chops, and then pump up their ability to get the organic polymer. So yeah, that's pretty much the process for mutations. It's the process for getting the saddle stuff. It's kind of what I've been working on over here. I was going to work on Stegos too, as like a tank for the bosses. I still need to work on Stegos for the Overseer. I might use Stegos in the Overseer fight, we'll see. But I was going to try to use them for tanking the bosses, but I never did find a saddle for these. So that's kind of unfortunate. They kind of really need a saddle to become really tanky. Using the normal saddles wouldn't work out too well. It probably wouldn't work out too well in the Broodmother fight, but it might work out well in the Dragon fight. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. Dragon fight's all about damage anyways. Alright, so now what we're going to do is go over to the boss fights. So I'm going to get everything ready and then we'll head down there and talk about the boss fights. Alright, so we're ready for the dragon fight, the alpha dragon. We have our dinos here. These are Therizinosaurs. They have 10 veggie cakes. They have decent saddles, about 100 armor each. They also have these stats. So this is a pretty good indication of what the stats are going to look like. They're 20k health and about 750% melee. So that's roughly what they all are. And on me, I am rocking a shotgun. I have my med brews. Definitely need these for this fight. If you get burned, you'll be taking a lot of damage. You're also going to want to bring some gear, some spare gear, because you're going to be fighting dinos as well. They're going to be attacked by different types of dinos, like Morphodons. So you want to handle those and be able to change your gear out in case you lose some stuff. If you do lose your gear, you're going to be taking a lot more damage from those things. And then make sure you have your dinos and your mount. So I'm bringing the Uteranus. Last time we did a very bad job keeping this thing away from the fire, and we almost died to that. So this time we have to be very, very careful with that. And so it's pretty much it. I would just remind you to make sure you know your hotkeys, you know how to attack stuff, because you're going to need to use that hotkey for this fight. So here is the stuff for it, and we do have everything that we need. We got a lot of this stuff before. We have extra aloe brains. You'll need 10 of those. Yeah, I think the hardest thing in here is the gigahearts. Alright, so let's get started. Hopefully everything goes well. I did bring some soups, by the way, too, so we're going to have to use those as well, because it will be hot. Let's check out this edge here. Okay, that's not too far off. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, nice. So the red here is at the edge. Let's get our soups. Now let's head in there. Alright. Alpha Dragon. Dodge the fireballs. Wait for it to land, and then you should be good. This thing's way faster, so it's going to come down pretty quick. Be very careful with that. Alright, we did it. We lost quite a few guys, but we did it. So, yeah. How many we got left? We don't have that many left. Alright. Let's grab these saddles real quick. So, we did get quite a bit of stuff. I think this is the one we needed, really. So, if we don't do the next one, it's totally fine. Yeah, these guys, they took a lot of damage. They all, I guess they ran out of veggie cakes. Some of them we lost really early on. I think they took so much damage early on that we kind of lost them. I'm gonna grab that stuff here. So grab the stuff before we miss out on this. This is gonna be quite a bit of stuff here. Yeah, look at all that element. We got the head, so we can do the alpha overseer. So we lost some other ones. I don't know where we lost them at though. It's like really early on, which is very unfortunate. Yeah, okay, yeah, this one has 8 veggie cakes. This one too. Yeah, unfortunately I think we lost a few of them, like prematurely. Okay, let's give you these veggie cakes. Alright, so back at the base. Well, let's check out what we got here. Let's get out of here first. There we go. Let's see how we've left. We have tracking boss. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 left, so 8 out of 19. Yeah, and let's see what else we got as far as our engrams go. Techgrams, okay. Cloning chamber, that's a big one. I'm not going to use it, but that's pretty nice. We got the Tek chest piece. We got the large teleporter too. Nice, those are the major things that we got out of this. So we're actually running out of things we can get. I think we get the helmet from the next boss. And then everything else we get from the overseer. But yeah, Tek teleporter, the chest piece is going to be the big thing. This will let us fly around and probably make the boots as well. Okay, cloning chamber, this becomes incredibly expensive. Like I wouldn't recommend making this until you get into extinction, when you get a lot more element. So yeah, these guys did fairly well. I would say this is like kind of the bare minimum. I did a very bad job with targeting, so I think we would have done better if I was able to target a little bit better. My movement wasn't very good. I was kept hitting the Dimorphodons that were attacking me instead of actually hitting the boss. So we lost quite a bit of damage from that, which is very unfortunate. But I think overall, it's fine. I think we'll be able to rebuild. Now that we have the mutations, we can rebuild and do that boss later if we wanted to. Might use Therizinosaurs for the Overseer. I think we'll have to see. They're pretty good for the Overseer because they're so fast, but they don't have the survivability that Rexes do, and the damage output is kind of low. Rexes just do so much more damage if they can pin the Overseer down. And of course I'm going to do a lot of damage with my shotgun too. Alright, so I'm going to go get ready. This guy needs to get healed up. We did a lot better with the positioning this time for the Uranus. And now I have to go get ready for the next fight, which hopefully goes smooth like this one did. Alright, we're back, and we did kind of get this guy healed up. Still got a little bit of health missing, but I think we're good enough. And we did get all of the Megatheriums here. So as far as their stats go, let's take a look at one of these. They're 20k health, and they are roughly 750 to 800% melee. So very similar to what we had with the Therizinosaurs. And this fight is going to be more about positioning than anything else. So we really need to work on that in this fight. Try to get them to surround the boss. And these guys do have pretty decent saddles. So yeah, 170. So almost double what we had before. But some of these have a little bit less than that, like probably around, yeah, 100 armor. And that's pretty much it. I do have everything inside there. I'll just do like one last check, I guess, and make sure I got everybody leveled up. Some of these are still in the 600s, but they all have 20k health at least. Once you get that damage buff, it's not going to be that big of a deal because it's such a high multiplier for all of them. I think we got them all leveled up, and we do have 19 Megatheriums here. Pretty even mix of female and male, just so all of them have the mate boost. And let's get started. So this is going to be a much faster version of the Broodmother. So we really need to hop on our mount pretty quick. And our mount's over there. Yeah, we're actually closer to the boss, so we need to be very careful with that. Alright, I'll see you in there. Alright, we did do it. Another really close call here. This arena is so laggy for some reason, I'm not sure why. So hopefully it doesn't turn out too bad. But yeah, 148, that wasn't really that much element for what we went through. So let's try to grab as many saddles as we can. And that was a pretty good saddle, so these things are this is the worst part, is the saddles. Yeah, I think these are like the minimum amount of things you want to have in here as far as like stats go. So you definitely want to have better stats going forward. I did turn off a lot of the harvesting, but it seems like they still harvested stuff. Alright, let's grab these saddles before the timer runs out, and then, yeah, I'll just see you back on the other side. Alright, yeah, we're back on here. These guys need to stop moving. There we go. So yeah, this was it's a pretty rough fight. This definitely is the one that I was the most concerned about, but we did pull it off. I did wind up getting 7 saddles, so that's not bad. And some of these are really good saddles too. And this one has 154. Yeah, this one, 176. Some of the higher ones that were behind definitely did survive, but they barely survived. Like, they were probably just a few bites away from dying. So yeah, I would recommend better ones than the ones I had, but at least the ones I had did do the job, so that's good. And we did get the Alpha Broodmother head, and then let's look at the Ingrams. So yeah, we have everything now except for the binoculars. That comes from the Overseer. But that's everything, so everything's unlocked. The full tech suit's unlocked, including the helmet. This is pretty fun to have. I'm actually gonna make this 55. I think I have 55 black pearls for both of these things. We definitely have the element now. The dragon gave us 440. This one didn't give us much at all. Like, we get the alpha trophy, which is what we need. But only 148. So it's not really that great. I would not recommend farming this boss. It's just not worth it, I don't think. And then, let's see, this guy. Yeah, it's still pretty good. Still pretty good amount of health left. Alright, I'll clean these guys up later. What I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna go make the suit, or at least part of the suit. So the helmet and the chest piece. And then I'll show you what those two components do. The legs and the boots, they're not that good. The boots might be handy in this next boss fight, in the Overseer fight. But the legs are kind of pointless. I'm not going to really use them that much. And then you have the gloves. The gloves could be handy. You can do a punch with them and kind of speed around. But really the chest piece is the biggest thing. So I'll just make the chest and the helmet. And I'll kind of show you those two components because those are pretty fun to have. So let's go do that, and then I'll come back whenever we're ready to go. Alright, we're back, and I did wind up making the helmet and the chest piece. So this is the two pieces that I have. I mean, I can make their whole suit if I wanted to. It does require elements to power. So you need to load up this element into these two things. And these are the two, I would say, best parts of the suit. And like I said before, the legs and the boots and the gloves, they're very minor in what they do. But the chest piece, so this we can run and we can jump and we can fly. So we can fly up in the air, you can speed, or you can just hover. So you can just kind of hit shift or hold shift and hover in one spot. You can even start shooting, so you can fire on stuff and shoot stuff from the air, which is going to be very important. This all does require you to have element though, so you have to make sure you have a good stock of element before you do this. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the chest. The flight is probably the most important thing, especially for the Overseer fight. In case you lose all your dinos, you can still complete that fight, whereas other arenas you wouldn't be able to complete that fight. So with that said, let's look at the helmet. The helmet has different modes. So if you hold R, you can cycle through the different types of modes. And one of the best modes is this mode. This does like a scan, and it shows you dinos. You can see dinos off in a distance. You can see behind this gate, there's a Diplodocus, and then there's another one over there, and there's all these other things. So the nice thing about this is that if we're running around, there's a raptor right there. You can see the raptor through the wall. So if you're like running around looking for specific dinosaurs, you can find them with the helmet. And this does make it pretty nice. That's weird, just showed all these red dots. Yeah, you can see the beehives, but you can't see them unless you're like looking through a wall, which is weird. See these little red dots all throughout the area. The range on these is pretty far, so there's, you know, a beehive over there. So if we go over here, if you want to, like, you can double tap and you kind of get that boost from flying, and you can just shift and kind of glide over there. But yeah, if we're like running around, that's weird you couldn't see these beehives unless you're looking through a wall. But yeah, there's a beehive right there, there's one right there. You get close to them, you can see them easily. But yeah, it's kind of weird that you can see stuff through the walls, but you can't see them like out in the open unless you get close to it. So yeah, it does make finding dinosaurs easier, so that's why I wanted the helmet. There's other modes too. There's night vision mode, so you can see in the dark, and there's also yeah, this is night vision mode with sensing, so you can sense stuff and see the dark at the same time. And it's all uses up element, so you're going to be going through element pretty quickly. You also do get a speed boost in the water too. So if we were to go swimming somewhere, let's go over here in this water. So you can kind of like speed through the water pretty quickly, swim through the water. The helmet also will provide you oxygen. So if you're underwater, you're getting oxygen from the helmet, which is another pretty nice thing to have. So you don't have to have a scuba set anymore. So yeah, that's all the things that the helmet does. It's all the things that the chest piece does. And then we'll talk about the other pieces later on when we get those pieces, but they're not as exciting as the two pieces that we have. And we're probably going to use just the chest piece for the Overseer Cave. But yeah, that's it for this episode. So we did go through and we defeated the two alphas, which are the two hardest guardians on the map, with the alpha broodmother being the hardest, I believe, because that one just hits so hard. As you saw, we barely squeaked by that one again. And the previous time we fought the beta, we barely won with our Megatheriums. So I'd kind of recommend you probably go for, if you want a comfortable fight, probably 25k health, and then the damage, I would say close to 900% damage. That would be a pretty comfortable fight, and you should be able to destroy that thing in a good amount of time to where you don't lose any of your dinos. So that would require a decent amount of breeding and a decent amount of leveling. Fortunately, these things are easier to level with the cave that we have nearby, so it's not going to be as hard to do that. But it is definitely a process to get those saddles for these things. And I think the saddles definitely helped, but I did lose some, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's the only thing I would use these guys for. As far as the Therizinosaurs, I do have quite a few Therizinosaurs left. I think the ones that are 250, 254, I think, are the highest levels. Yeah, so we have a pretty good amount left. They're just collecting XP while they're in the cryopods. And if we look at these, yeah, they have plus 8 melee. So you're looking at 47 melee for these things, which is probably good for the boss fight. So the Overseer, I'll talk about it later, but we're going to have Therizinosaurs, we're going to have Rexes for the Overseer, and we're going to bring quite a lot of those things. So that's going to be the next challenge, and it shouldn't require me to breed up too many more like I did the last time. But that is going to be it. We accomplished all we wanted to accomplish, and we did it barely, but we did it. So I thank you for watching. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.